Buongiorno a tutti da Polentone in Giappone, ci troviamo ad Hiroshima. Oggi per la rubrica Vivere da stranieri in Giappone intervisterò un ragazzo svedese che vive ad Hiroshima da qualche anno e lui insegna inglese in una scuola per giapponesi. Conosciamo la sua storia, restate con me.
So my name is Mikael, I'm 42 years old. I've been living in Hiroshima for 8 years, actually living in Japan for 8 years. I'm from Sweden, in the northern of Europe. So I work for an international organization which has a school department and also NGO, NPO department, and I work in both departments. So at the school department, I'm an English coordinator and also I work as a homeroom teacher. And for the NGO, NPO department, I work as an international director, arranging overseas programs, working with translations and so on. So I'm married to a Japanese, and intentionally we were supposed to live in Sweden, but due to some circumstances we decided to live in Japan. And for starters, it was supposed to be 1 year, and now it's been 7 years since that. Yeah, I'm my 8th year here now. So. I think that living in another country is really hard. It's much harder than you can imagine. And the further you get from your home country, the more the language changes, the more the culture changes. So it's hard, but it's also rewarding. So if you can get over all this hardship, it will be really good for you. But I guess it depends on the persons and definitely your personality. So I think Hiroshima is a very livable place. It's very wide compared to other Japanese cities. So we can spend time in the nature, in the sea. And I think Hiroshima is a very livable city. I like it here very much, yeah. So I learned how to read katakana and hiragana back home in Sweden, and I learned some basic phrases, but basically when I came here I couldn't speak any Japanese at all. And I was fortunate because I had my wife and her lovely family who could support me during at least 6 months, where I could study on my own and find free lessons online and here in Hiroshima, and that prepared me a little bit. Yeah, but it was tough. Kind of difficult to say what the worst experience was. I haven't really had any bad experience to that extent, but one of the first things that happened was I had a part-time job at a restaurant, and I decided to go to work by bicycle. And back in my country, you know, we can park our bicycle anywhere. So I just found an open space where I locked my bike, and then after my shift was over, I had this really angry Japanese middle-aged man chasing me, which was kind of funny now when you think about it, but I was kind of scared of that at the time. Yeah, that was a bad experience, I guess. So my best experience here in Hiroshima was becoming a father, and it was kind of funny because when my son was born, the midwife came out with him, holding him in a blanket, and I was so nervous, and I was standing next to her, and I tried to pat him on the back, but actually I was patting the arm of the midwife, so it was kind of embarrassing. I was just so nervous. So that was one of the best things that happened to me. Funny things happen all the time. Yesterday, something that really was a little bit shocking was one of my coworkers told me that, man, you're taking it too far. And I was like, what? What did I do? And he was like, yeah, while you were talking on the phone in Japanese, you were nodding and bowing and doing stuff. And then, I guess that's things that comes automatically getting used to the Japanese society. Maybe I took too far, I don't know. I'm gonna try stop doing that. Okay. So it's true that Hiroshima, and maybe not only Hiroshima, but Nagasaki, both of these two cities have a very sad history, but it's also so amazing how the people in both Hiroshima and Nagasaki have forgiven people for what happened, and from that comes such a nice growth. These cities are thriving and so beautiful. Actually, both Hiroshima and Nagasaki are two of my favorite cities in Japan. It's true, it's sad, you know, and if you feel it's too much for you, then maybe you should avoid visiting the Peace Memorial Museum. But I do think it's really important, and I encourage you to go there and have a look at what happened, and that will change you, definitely. I know that taking trips with your family is supposed to be fun all the time, but this gives your journey more depth because you can grow from it, just like the Japanese people did here. And there are actually many beautiful places in Hiroshima. You can go up north to the mountains to do some hiking in Sandankyo. It's so beautiful during autumn. You can go to Tobishima Kaido, rent a bicycle and go over to the small islands. It's super nice. Even if you like shopping, you know, I know that if you want to go shopping, everybody says Tokyo, Osaka, places like that, of course. But if you go there, you're surrounded by 2,000 people, you know. So if you do it here, you can go shopping and it's more comfortable, I think. So it's a nice break from all the other cities. I do recommend coming here, and definitely try okonomiyaki. It's got a funny name, it looks crazy, and whenever somebody tries to explain it, they use words like pancake or pizza, but it doesn't describe it really well. It's something very special, and you should try it. It's super yummy. One thing that I would like to do is to continue writing. So last year I wrote my first English textbook, and this year I have a new one coming out. But those books are just hospitality English, and I would really like to make a children's book. So I want to challenge that and try doing that in the future.
So you want to write a book, like a Japanese book for English speaker people, or English, how to say, book for Japanese speaker people?
So, actually I don't know. I haven't thought about that yet, but I think that what I would like to do is a children's book. So language doesn't really matter, you know? I could write it in Japanese or in Swedish or in English. It doesn't really matter.
Okay.
But I would like to make something, because I felt making just these English textbooks were so rewarding. Wow, I made a book, you know? Nobody's gonna read it maybe, but anyway, it felt so rewarding. You know?
What's the name of the book?
Practical English.
Is it on, someone can buy somewhere?
Well, I use it for my hospitality English course, so my student buys it.
But is it available on internet?
No.
Okay.
It's just a well-preserved secret. Seguite Polentone in Giappone. Ciao! Bella!